Kwindlela ensenza ngayo yini ukuthi uma kuwukuthi umuntu wenze umsebenzi wokuhlola i-ballistic kufanele abhale i-affidavit?
I've never done this before. However, this time it was requested for me to write that affidavit, and I've done that.
What did you say? So you've never done that?
I've never done that before. However, I was requested to write that particular affidavit.
Thank you. Now, what is the procedure that you know with respect to a person who has been requested to give an opinion in ballistic related examinations?
My Lord, I cannot say there is a specific procedure. What I know is that when you are giving an opinion, you are just giving an opinion. You are not writing anything anywhere. You are just giving the person who's doing the case an opinion, and then it ends there, my Lord.
Is it correct that the person who procedurally would have to write an affidavit in terms of section 212 and those subsections is the chief examiner, even a person who overrides the work that has been done by the chief examiner does not have to write an affidavit? No, so.
Section 212 examiner chief examiner wasayena akaphoqelele ukuthi abhale affidavit.
The person who's doing that case is the one who is will compile the affidavit for that particular case, my Lord.
Thank you. Now, you correctly saying you haven't done this before, but have you ever been requested to give an opinion by a chief examiner? When I say a chief examiner, I mean the person that is specifically working on that case.
That is correct, my Lord.
And in those cases where you're requested to give an opinion, did you ever file or also prepare an affidavit?
No, my Lord.
Thank you. Now, can you explain the circumstances under which you then had to give an affidavit in this case?
My
Lord, I was informed that during the testimony of Lieutenant Colonel Mangena, there was where our names were mentioned that we gave an affidavit. My apologies, my Lord, where we gave an opinion. So now we're requested to confirm that through an affidavit, my Lord.
From who did that request come?
It came from Advocate Baloi, my Lord.
Did you ever mention to Advocate Baloi that said, look, we only gave an opinion, we in terms of our protocol, we're not obliged to give affidavit. The person that gives an affidavit is the person who had worked who's working with the case himself. Did you ever bring that to the attention of Mr. Baloi, Advocate Baloi, Masoro?
manje amtshela yini okwavakate balo uma uthi indlela esebenza ngayo ukuthi uma silethe umbono sibhale protocol umuntu ofanele ngabhale le affidavit umuntu okuyena-ke owenza lowo msebenzi thina esilethe umbono nje kuphela sibhale affidavit.
My Lord, we consulted with the advocate and to seek advice on how can we put this affidavit, and then we were advised to make a 2-2 statement, my Lord.
Sakhuluma naye u-advocate ukuthi singabhala kanjani ekugcinekini-ke wayesesikholela ekutheni sibhale i-2-2 statement.
No, but my question is very simple. Did you bring it to his attention that per protocol you're not required to do that?
Uzothi wanamtshela yini ukuthi akuyona inqubo yethu ukwenza njalo?
My Lord, my answer is I've consulted the office of Advocate Maloi because we've never done this before with regard to an opinion on how to go about this. Then we were advised to draft the 2-2 statement, my Lord.
Njengoba sengishilo ukuthi sacela ukuthi u-advocate Baloi ne-ofisi lakhe basisize ngoba sasingakaze sibhale statement esinje. Wasesitshela-ke wasesikhonela ekutheni sibhale i-2-2 statement.
Captain Intini, do you understand my question?
I
understand your question.
Thank you. In the course of you being requested to write an affidavit, knowing that that's not a protocol in terms of the forensic science laboratory, for a person in your position then to have done so, did you bring that aspect to the attention of Advocate Baloi during your concentration? I mean, when you consulted?
Advocate Baloi
we object to that question. There's no protocol who must actually write a statement or not. And any witness can write a statement as long as they are being asked to write a statement.
Yes, Mr. MNISI.
I did not get the basis of the objection, madam.
It says there is no protocol that a person who writes an opinion must do so in the form of an affidavit or otherwise, as long as they're requested to write that opinion, you may choose, I suppose. Is that not so, sir?
That is so, my lord.
But that comes from the witnesses themselves, my lord.
Yeah, fine, but the lawman says there's no protocol.
Then it means the witnesses were lying then if they said they are not expected to write an affidavit.
Fine, you can make that submission.
So that despite the protocol that you know that as an opinion giver, you should give an affidavit, you went on to give that affidavit nonetheless, not so?
I wrote the affidavit, my lord.
Thank you. You know what does that tell me? It tells me that you went along to try and give some degree of how can I put it? You went along with the state to try and give some degree of there's a term that I'm missing. Of a validation. Yes. You went along to give a validation to the narrative that the state is trying to give or to bring to this court with regard to this firearm by defying your own protocols?
Abasathi wena wasiza umshushisi ukuthi kulethwe isiqiniseko mayelana nalesi sibhamu lesi umshushisi afuna ukusiletha la enkantolo.
My Lord, I cannot say I went with the narrative of the state. In this 2 and 2, I just wrote what I know and what transpired, my Lord.
Ngisho ukuthi ke nalokho okufuna istate engakusho nje ukuthi nje mina bengilethe umbono.
That is just by the first aspect that I'm bringing to your attention. And I'm going to request you to keep it in your mind that there's a first validation that you're going along to give. In fact, your testimony is that you are trying to give a validation to the narrative that the state is bringing here in respect of the involvement of this firearm, of this alleged firearm in this case. But that's just the first point. Thank you. Let us proceed. Thank you. Because it has got a huge bearing on your testimony. I just want to be frank with you. It does have. The proceedings on the 29th of August 2024, when I also was cross-examining him, it starts on page 49. Paragraph 10, it's him, Mr. Mangena. He says, I started with the FMJs. I compared the FMJs and then I put them. I cannot recall whether I also did with the same exercise with the other bullets. But I continued. When I start to continue, I took my exhibit bullet and put them on the left-hand side and started comparing it with all those other exhibits that I had with me. I'll read and then thereafter I'll give Mr. Ngobo just to interpret.
Can you do one sentence at a time because you tend to read quite a long passage and it becomes impossible to remember it.
Yeah, I just skipped my mind that I should have prepared a copy for you as well. You understand? Yeah, I should have prepared a copy for you. But what I will do is I'll read through and then I'll give this to you and then summarize it. Thank you, sir. And then Mr. MNISI says to Mr. Mangena, yes. So you say you still cannot recall exactly what you did, Mr. Mangena says. That is correct. My Lord, he says, that is correct, my Lord, because the whole exercise did not take an hour or 2 hours. It took days, because I started working after collecting the firearm, which we now know it was on the 20th. After shooting the test, then Tuesday, Wednesday, I was busy on the microscope with all those exhibits. I cannot remember, but my report, I started compiling my report on Friday. Mr. MNISI, yes. Now with the addendum to your answer, should I then understand you to mean that at some stage, you were tired working on this exercise or on this experiment, on this examination? It took you almost a week. So it drained you. Do I understand you to mean that, Mr. Mangena? My Lord, when I'm working on the microscope, once I feel that my eyes are tired, I've been working on the microscope for a long time, my eyes are tired, you'll start missing some of the markings, so I will rather stop and then I will continue. I will continue. It is either the next morning or when I maybe after a long break and I can start working on it. So that is why I said it did not take me a day, it took me a long time. Then Mr. MNISI, thank you. I quite agree with you on that one. Some other things can be very draining. But then, are you then saying that the nature of this exercise, the comparison, was it a tedious and difficult one? So which is the reason why it took you so many days? Mr. Mangena says, my lord, with such exhibits from such a bullet that has worn out, it takes time for you to look at these things, and it takes time for you to see all your markings properly. Mr. MNISI, now with that explanation, sir, would it then be correct to say that it was not an easy exercise? It was a difficult exercise because you had to go into the system and compare, come out of the system, go back and compare it. It was not really a simple exercise. It was a tedious exercise. Do I understand you to mean that? Then Mr. Mangena says, my lord, I will say as long as you started, you have identified maybe the groups that are visible, that you can see on your exhibits. When you start with those other tests, you can check your tests, you keep on marking them. Maybe after some time, you know which mark bullet you have marked. You start looking at them, then you can, from there, you start doing the follow-up. When you say it is a follow-up, you start rotating them simultaneously, looking at the relevant same position on both items for more marks. Mr. MNISI, yes. Mr. Mangena, to clear up, it is not that it took me the whole week to do that. I checked that, and thereafter I gave it to my colleagues to check. So they also took some time, but I will not say not as much time as I took. Let's stop it there.
Anakhuluma ukuthi uMangena umekhaza ukuthi umsebenzi wakhe wawenza kanjani uthi ke uyachaza ukuthi no umsebenzi wawenza kwathatha isikhathi eside ngoba kwesikhathi ke kwakukhona ukuthi ke akhathale emehlweni nesikhathele abona ukuthi mhlambe ke ngakhona impawu angeke asakwazi ukuzibona so kwagcina lokwenza ukuthi athathe isikhathi eside ukwenza lo msebenzi wokuhlola.
Thank you. Now, it is beyond reproach that Lieutenant Colonel Mangena is more experienced than you, not so?
Colonel Mangena uchwepheshe obudlulayo anjani?
That is correct, my lord.
Yebo kunjani?
And you heard when he told to this court that for him to do this thing, it did not take him a day or two. It took him longer.
Ukuthi wathi yena umsebenzi lo yonke uthatha isikhathi esifishane uthatha isikhathi eside.
Such that he started to work on his affidavit on a Friday.
Okwaholela ukuthi abhale i-affidavit yakhe ngoLwesihlanu.
When he had started with the analysis on a Monday.
Utaqala nomsebenzi wokuhlaziya ngoMsombuluko.
Do you follow?
I'm following, my lord.
Now, Mr. Mangena, with such massive experience on ballistic related matters, took almost a week to come to the conclusion that he arrived at. And it only takes you a time that you are no longer able to remember, but something that is less than a day to come to your conclusion. Is there any logical explanation for it?
My lord, I've heard what the advocate was reading there, and it contains a lot of things like typing of statements. I've only done part of which was just to give an opinion with regard to the microscopic comparison. Then my duty ended there. The advocate has mentioned the chief examiner, who will be doing everything. I don't know when did he do what, but from your reading I heard you spoke about the typing of affidavit, those are some of the duties that he has done as chief examiner, as if they belong to him, as those are his responsibilities.
No, lana mina msebenzi wenza ingxenye yalonke lo msebenzi ofanele wenziwe lapho ngoba mina ngifanele nje umbono nje ukuthi noma ngiqhathanisa ngathola ini manje lo umhlolo omkhulu yena ufanele wenze konke lokho afiphinda kube nanembiko ayibhalayo noma affidavit ababhalayo so kuthatha isikhathi eside.
Sir, please don't try to sway things that I've said. Mr. Mangena says he only started to compile his report on a Friday when he started to work on this experiment on a Monday, which was the 20th. Do you understand? Do you understand?
I understand that.
Thank you. And let me specifically bring you to what is important, what he specifically says. This is what he says. My Lord, because the whole exercise did not take an hour or 2 hours. It took days because I started working after collecting the firearm. After the shooting, the test, then on Tuesday, on Wednesday, I was busy on the microscope with all those exhibits. On Tuesday, on Wednesday, I was busy on the microscope with all those exhibits. Now, when we look into the calendar of 2020, July 2020, the 20th was on a Monday. The 21st was on a Tuesday. The 22nd, the day on which you say he approached you for an opinion, was on a Wednesday. Do you follow?
Must be a calendar July 2020. Must be some logo. Must be a 21st for the speed. Must be a 22 hours start. The time when I was
Do you follow?
I'm following, my Lord.
Thank you.
Yes.
After shooting the test, then on Tuesday, Wednesday, I was busy on the microscope with all those exhibits. In other words, sir, you are saying that Mr. Mangena approached you on a Wednesday when you were still busy on the microscope. And mind you, you had told this court that an expert can only approach another expert from the opinion once they are done with the work that they are doing. Not so. Not so.
I'm following, my Lord.
Mr. Mangena is very pertinent, it's very clear. It does not need any particular expertise to understand what Mr. Mangena is saying. On a Tuesday and a Wednesday, I was still busy on the microscope with all those exhibits. In other words, it was not yet done. And yet, he comes to you for an opinion. How do you explain that?
We object to this line of questioning. It's quite clear from what Mr. Advocate MNISI said. There's no time in which Colonel Mangena said he finished working on the exhibits on Wednesday. So it would be unfair for this witness to also comment into that.
There is nothing unfair here, my Lord. Everything comes from Mr. Mangena's testimony. He says I started compiling my report on a Friday. What is not clear about that? He says on a Tuesday and a Wednesday, I was busy on the microscope with all those exhibits. I'm not thumbsucking, this information is not there. What it is unfair with that? Can you please answer the question? How do you reconcile that?
My Lord,
Yourself, yes.
My Lord, I cannot comment on that one.
Thank you. I got no comment. And I can put it to you, say, normally I'm not a fan of trying to postulate the reason why a person cannot comment on a particular answer. But in instances such as this one, I'm more than justified to say that you have been requested here to come in, and this is the second reason. Mind you, I told you earlier on that the first reason why you had come here to come and validate, yes, I haven't forgotten this time, to come and validate the state's narrative was that first reason. This is the second reason. Unfortunately, your validation attempt to validate the state's attempt to create a certain narrative of the use of a firearm in this case missed Mr. Mangena's testimony in this regard. I therefore feel justified, sir, to brand you as a hired gun. You standing there as a hired gun. You don't know what you did. You're forgetting everything that you did as an expert. I'm even not so sure whether as you standing there, particularly in this case, you came here as an expert or as an opinion giver. Now, Mr. Mangena approaches you even before he could complete his work on the 22nd. What should the court make of all these inexplicable circumstances of this case that you have come to testify about?
Lana ulethe into ngibona sengathi wena ulethele lana nje ukuthi kuzosiza umhluphisi ukuthi alethe lesi sithombe sokuthi isibhamu lesi sasetshenziswa lapho, kodwa wena uningi ungasakhumbuli lesikhathi asasikhumbuli. Kuyabonakala nala ukuthi lana uthe uze lana njengochwepheshe akukakuthi njengochwepheshe noma uletha umbono. Manje umbuzo wami ukuthi konke lokhu kuholele wena ulethele nje ukuthi uzosiza umhluphisi.
I will stand up again and object to the use of the phrase "a hired gun" to the witness. My understanding of a hired gun, someone has been paid to come and say something, and I submit my Lord, it's improper for Advocate MNISI to use such to the witness.
So you know the judge Dennis Davis, the one who says judge for yourself on TV.
Yes.
Yeah, he's a buddy of mine. He used that weight in a particular judgment. I need to tell you the judgment.
Yes, the court, please.
As it please the court, madam, thank you. I'm not so sure whether the court is coming to my rescue, but there is nothing wrong in referring to an expert as a hired gun. It's all over the show. You go to authorities, law reports that are dealing with road traffic, what is it now? Road accident fund cases, medical negligence cases. This phrase, hired gun, is referred to there very extensively, so it's not an insult. Don't feel insulted.
No, I'm just trying to explain to the witness that the person who first used this word in South Africa,
yes,
in a divorce case,
yes, madam,
was Dennis Davis.
That is
1994. It's a reported case.
Yes, madam. Yeah.
You know that case, Mr.
Not particularly, but the context.
Yeah, fine. Yeah, it was the first guy who...
As it please the court, madam. So say, when I say to you a hired gun, I just don't say it out of nowhere. I'm saying it, basing it on what, as I try to compare and contrast your testimony here at court. You said you've got no comment, not so.
Kuthiwa wena awukho ngaphawula kuloko ebekubeka ukuthi wena ulethelwe nje ukuthi uzoqinisekisa into efuna ukubekwa umshushisi phambi kwekadora kunjani?
My Lord, I can only say I'm not supporting any narrative.
Okay, thank you.
Engakusho nje ukuthi akukho engizokusekela.
Now finally,
Can I just find
as I look at your affidavit on paragraph 3 of your affidavit, and paragraph 3 of Captain Grobler's affidavit, they are twins, the content thereof, from paragraph 3 to paragraph 5, which is the gist of your affidavit. The contents thereof are similar. They are basically two peas in a pond.
Captain Grobler, paragraph 3, nombiko wakho paragraph 3. Sengathi le mpiko lena paragraph la, so paragraph 3 kuyofika paragraph 5 ifana ncimishi.
The content thereof, the wording, the punctuation, the spelling, and everything is just similar. Could that have been a coincidence?
Okay, lo indlela okubhalwe ngayo punctuation nendlela ufakwe ngayo spelling lapho kufana ncimishi into engazenzekela leyo.
My Lord, from my office, there is a standard way of writing an affidavit.
Obviously, khona indlela ebekiwe yokuthi sibhala kanjani i-affidavit.
And other things such as the caliber and the markings, my Lord, you cannot change.
Ezinye izinto ezinjengobukhulu besibhalo awukwazi ukutshintsha lokho.
You heard me. I said even the punctuation and the spelling and the phrasing of the words. Could that have been a coincidence? Or you use the same computer to prepare paragraph 3 to paragraph 4 of your statement of yourself, Grobler in yourself.
Senzise computer, especially
My Lord, we didn't use the same computer. Hence I'm saying we are having a standard way of drafting an affidavit, my Lord.
Thank you, sir. The standard way of drafting affidavit. Thank you. I've got no further questions.
Family, let's talk about what MNISI did today in court. He did us really proud. He started early in the morning. He confronted the judge about his client for being in solitary confinement, which was not allowed for anybody to stay this kind of time in solitary confinement. So he has proved that he is a lawyer who can stand up for anything that comes his way, because he gives value to his client. The client that he has, he understands that everything that you have to value it. So what he did for his client, he made me feel is that he is really representing the client, which is accused number 3, no matter what case he's involved in, but he doesn't discriminate him because of the crime that is being perpetrated to him, that he did it. But as far as we look at the crime, we see that they are not the people who are supposed to be in that dock. So what I want to talk about is what he did when destroying the ballistic expert. Is it Martini or whatever? That ballistic expert came in court with an affidavit that was put up between him and Baloyi, because he even said it in court that he was helped by Baloyi with that affidavit. So Baloyi is a prosecutor, but he's always working with the ballistic. You don't understand what is going on here. And that shows what Mgomezulu and therefore has been saying all this time, that this case is cooked. And I think now it is clicking with Judge Rata that there is something wrong here. And it's going to ruin his reputation. That 50 years reputation of apartheid lawyer and apartheid judge, it will vanish if he doesn't think twice and stand his ground. How on earth, as a judge, you cannot take a decision, or you stand against the prosecutor and ask the prosecutor, because Mgomezolo has been asking for the ID for accused number 2, or accused number 1, for the longest time since 2020, and he hasn't received it. And there comes Baloyi with his stance to try and defend something that is defenseless. What kind of people they want to... Because when you look at the kids, number 2's kids, that wants to go to the university now, what kind of society they want to create as a judge? That should have clicked in the judge, that we cannot make a mistake with the rights of the kids. Because when they need their father's ID for them to apply for scholarship to go to the university, and as a judge, you have to take a quick decision and understand this is no more about the case, it's about the kids who have got nothing to do with the case. He should have took a very strong stand and say, by the way, I issue a directive now, the ID must be sent to this kid. Because the kid has got nothing to do with the case. But he decided to listen to Baloyi and keep treating Baloyi with the kid's gloves. It is hard when you look at what is happening in court. Coming to the issue of accused number 3, being in solitary confinement. He's been there for 4 years. If anybody understands what solitary confinement means, you stay alone in a very small place. You have your toilet just inside there. It's either they put a bucket or it's a flushing toilet or whatever it can be. It depends on the country, how poor the country is. Because I've never been in that country, I've never been in that jail to understand that the solitary confinement. But when you go to YouTube, you realize what is a solitary confinement where they keep people. It's whereby they want to they want to damage your brain. And this guy needs to be checked by a psychologist. You can't stay there and have your mind fixed. What kind of society are they creating? Because this guy one day will come out of the jail and will come to the society. What kind of... Do they want to see him being an animal to the society? Because it's what they are creating in that prison. Somebody who's going for a trial and is kept in solitary confinement for 4 years. People have been coming in solitary confinement, in and out, but he's still there. All his co-accused, none of them is in solitary confinement, only him. What is the fight between it? Because there are people from behind who are pulling the strings that we don't know. Why? Why a country is being run by mafia like there is no president, there is no parliament? Where are the MPs? Family, this is really hard. What they are creating in the society now, and this justice system that is going on now in South Africa. This is our beloved country. But if we let it go down the drain, we'll never recover from that. I really applaud MNISI what he did to that ballistic expert, so-called ballistic expert. He didn't prove that he was a ballistic expert. He didn't have no notes. He couldn't remember anything. It was just crazy, everything that he's been trying to explain in court. He remember what he wants to remember, and what he does not want to remember, he doesn't remember it. And that affidavit that he made, you see, when they say a person, if you kill somebody, it's really hard. That person will keep on hunting you. Senzo is hunting the people who killed him. All the people were in the house, and those who are trying to protect. When they close something, they hide something, he comes and opens it up to the public. They close, he opens up to the public. Now we really see that there is a lot that we are still about to hear that will drop our jaws and we'll be like, wow. It's really hard. Thank you for Mr. MNISI, Advocate MNISI, for telling that so-called expert a hired gun. Yes, he is a hired gun. He couldn't remember nothing. He couldn't do... There's nothing that could help the court to understand when they were giving their opinion in the so-called bullet. Let's not forget to like, share, and subscribe. Bravo, bravo.